think Brandy's joining, yes, it is Brandy, joining us by Zoom. Hey, Brandy. And a special warm welcome to our best member, greatest one yet, the beautiful 6-year-old baby across the table from 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
5 weeks.
And that hair.
Lots of hair.
Don't tell that to Neil.
Yes.
I had a beer at one time.
Everyone's fine.
Oh, all right, yeah.
So the only thing on our agenda is discussion of the future site of the library. When we met last time, we sort of looked at 3 potential sites. 2 of them were over on Lake Avenue. One behind the ambulance garage, another right up against Lake Avenue. And then of course continuing to work with the site by Washburn Court. Pat talked to the owner of the one site. Yeah, can we just show?
Should I get that?
If we could. Maybe not all the way because we are technically a public meeting, but that will at least help with the noise. Thanks, Steve. So Pat talked to the owners of the parcel that's right on Lake Avenue and they weren't interested in selling. So that one was marked off right away. Pat and Mary and Tarek went out and looked at the site behind the ambulance garage last week, and Joan was there too. Sorry. And then fill me in on whatever details you think are poignant, but in essence, the consensus is that that's probably not a viable site. Which sort of brings us back to the Washburn Court location. When we left a month ago, we had said, look, we weren't really getting anywhere with Mr. Opatz. We might need to start eminent domain if that's the site that we are looking at. At the behest of the city's Economic Development Committee, the city sent over another land swap offer to Tom and asked him to get back to us. We did hear back earlier, well, I don't know. Tarek can fill in on the details. The short answer is that we did get a signed purchase agreement from Tom just a few hours ago, and that's what's in front of you. Yeah, that's what Tarek passed around.
Yep.
So it's something, it's different from what the city offered in a couple of what I think are maybe a technical sense of the word, really, not in actual intent. Tom's worried about whether or not there's going to be sufficient drainage on that property and whether he needs to adjust the lot size in order to accommodate additional drainage. He's not.
The one out by
Yes, out by the new nursing home building, yeah. So he just wants to make sure that he has enough property there to accommodate any drainage and runoff from the parking lot and building. So the agreement here calls for sort of a contingency to adjust the final legal description if the engineering drawings come back and say that a little bit more space is necessary. They've worked with the city engineer, gotten the preliminary okay, but that final okay is going to cost thousands of dollars in engineering fees. And Tom has said, I don't want to spend a bunch of fees if it's not going to get us anywhere. And the city has said, well, we kind of want to see your name signed to something. And this was the compromise, and I think that does a good job of that. The other difference, Tarek, and my memory is failing me, there was one other thing. They were both related to that sizing issue though, weren't they?
To make sure that we're okay with the sizing and there are no issues with water.
Yeah, and essentially it would just adjust the land acquisition out there in the new nursing home from 0.89 acres to 0.92. So a de minimis change that really I don't think matters.
John, where in here, I just skimmed it, is the reference to this water issue and how that would be helped out? Is that in here? Maybe I skimmed it too quickly. It must be a very brief mention of that.
Because if it's not in here, it should be in here.
Well, I think that's why he wanted more land.
In case he
So
needs
he has to put in a little pond he can.
Oh, that's,
I think that's
Yeah.
the long and the short.
There.
And then I do believe it should be in here because with our experience of working with Tom, things change from day to day. So I think we need to get that, an addendum on here and move forward.
Well, I guess I'd like to see he's responsible for the drain water issue or
That's
simple sentence like
our
that.
concern because he says he needs 0.89 or 0.92.
And so
What happens if he just changes that and says he needs 2 more acres? Then what?
Well, that pretty well would avoid this.
It would void it, yeah.
Did you see it, John?
The reference, it's not much, it's the final, it's that little parenthetical that says final survey to govern.
Under which,
Paragraph 1.1 on the first page.
First page at the top.
Yep, that was the change.
And then I have one
final
question.
survey to govern, I see.
For the water runoff,
And then, there's a paragraph 11 here, the contingency. Obligation of Fortitude to complete the transfers contemplated herein are contingent upon obtaining city approval to construct a parking lot.
Yeah.
So that would require the final engineering studies for the water and drainage and stuff like
So
that.
it falls on him to get those studies done and to have it approved by the city engineer, his engineer, to do them, and the city engineer would have to approve them? Or
Yes,
it's not employed? Is
yes.
that how that reads?
And then Neil, I cut you off, I'm sorry.
that's
Yes.
okay. Our existing drainage pond, which is kind of a dog park, isn't that big enough to take his runoff?
I don't know,
That's what
but I
Chuck
would
was
guess
saying.
that Chuck is looking into that.
That's
Because
all.
I think that would probably be cheaper than digging another hole.
Well, from talking to Chuck, he was saying that whatever they presented looks satisfactory. He just needs to see the final plan first.
And I suppose it would cost money to put in a pipe that far, but I would think that would be cheaper than digging another
No,
hole.
he said based on what they sent him, which is, I don't know if this is the final one or this is the diagram that they sent.
Diagram?
He said based on this, it looks okay, just send us the final version to kind of give it.
And the slope of the land, it might be the natural runoff, I'm not sure there.
But I guess, with all that being said, we had talked about 3 potential locations last time. We really narrowed it down to 1, and credit goes to Pat for raising hell and stomping on doors and making phone calls today to get this signed. But it came through and we've got it, so,
I have one question for you, Chanel.
yeah.
Do we need to have a public hearing on this?
I don't think that we do. I think this
Is
is,
this a land transfer?
Right, it's a land swap and there's no money involved or.
Same thing we did with the lot in
Sure, okay.
the other part.
Yep.
Okay,
and I think, I don't
just
know.
making sure that, we're covered.
Yeah.
Everyone's covered.
Approval of this wasn't on our agenda for this meeting, because I wasn't expecting to get it. And I don't think we had it on our agenda for tonight.
The
No,
discussion's
we just had a
on.
discussion for it, yeah.
Yeah. So,
If it's on as a discussion, can you vote on it, or do you have to wait for?
Yeah, we can,
yeah, we'd add this
as
on
long as
as,
it's on the agenda, we can move forward with it. Or we can
So-
add to the agenda too if we needed to. but we-
I think that this satisfies the concerns that I have. I've said for a long time, I don't have a problem doing the swap. It's just been hard getting Tom's name on a piece of paper that we can enforce. I think this does it. I'm not worried that, based on the assurances that we've received from our city attorney, this addresses the city's concerns. So I'm okay with signing this. I think it meets with my approval. I don't know how the rest of the council feels. I would say that we just move forward with it and we, once we get the land and it's formally in ours, it is the library site, keep moving forward with that location.
Great.
Do we have a number on what that other lot is gonna sell for, what they agreed to?
Letters.
We are, oh, Lenny's.
He
Is
said
that
he
what
put
you're
40
talking
into
about?
it.
Yeah.
He said he put 40 into it, and that's what he'd expect.
Is it for sale?
No,
It
we're-
will be once Excel vacates beginning this October.
And that will be before the library. I
Yeah.
guess my concern is, if we don't get that lot, you cannot have the library facing the highway. It would have to go, and maybe you want it that way anyhow. But if we don't get that lot, then you sure wouldn't want the library facing a parking lot.
Well, I think the library could face Coronas Avenue, and if that's added additional parking because it
Right.
doesn't get done right away or something hangs it up.
Right.
It's parking now, and I think it's very doable. That lot's nice, it's a good location. I've been, that was I thought the best location, and after Tarek took us out to look at the other, I was determined that that site just was not suitable. It was dangerous traffic, I had 100 reasons, kept me up all Friday night fretting about it, so I just needed to, yeah, I know.
I didn't like it for the visibility. The library had no visibility.
Yeah.
And I think it's a building that somebody that that doesn't know the town or second day in the town, oh, there's the library.
The building will be here 50 years. It'll be a city building for a library. I'm hoping for 50 more years, but it's a city building and that land there is useless now. I think it's an enhancement to the town, and a town without a library, without parks, and without schools, and without hospitals, they die. So you need the library.
Is there any chance that Lenny won't get that lot that Excel had?
I mean, nothing's guaranteed. I mean, chances are pretty good he will, but. yeah.
Can we enter into a contract with Lenny for a right of first refusal?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
Okay.
Just have him give us the option?
I'll talk to him.
And deal with our initial work, working with architects and all of that, the 6,000 square feet would fit into those two existing lots. But ideally for parking and just moving, it'd be really nice to have Lenny's lot. That's kind of.
Right.
So we talked to him a couple years ago, about this. I'm glad he's still willing to do it, but that's a good idea to get something with you.
Yeah.
Well, just put first option on it or something, you know, if you have to pay.
And he's maybe got that with Excel,
You might
It's
have.
possible.
Maybe.
I hope so.
hopefully. I did like Randy Schaefer's idea of downtown development, but that's probably years out, and you don't want to wait another 5 years.
That's kind of phase 2 anyway, isn't it? It's a
Well,
phase-
in some ways, as we've discussed, having something there is going to help kind of some newness towards downtown. We talked about a
Yeah.
gateway and that whole thing, so it's not going to hurt, right? Those maybe not ideal, but yeah,
I
the
mean,
rest.
there's other new development that can occur on that corner
Right.
when they finally get a developer and a plan.
I have one more issue I'd like to bring up too, is that making sure that the soil is going to be feasible to build on. Because we've got some other issues coming up with that.
Oh,
So a soil study.
That'll be addressed more Wednesday.
So are you concerned about pollution or about compact?
I don't know how much I can say here with this stuff, but the soil may be contaminated or may not be.
I mean, the concern, I think, is pollution. It's whether or not the Midtown site has leached that far and what impact that might have.
And if indeed somewhere along the way that the soil needs to be replaced, you sure as hate to have a new library put up only to find out that it has to be, the soil underneath it has to be replaced. That's why I'm thinking forward,
Before.
take care of it beforehand instead of afterwards, because then it's gonna be a lot bigger problem.
now, this is a one-story building, correct?
Yeah.
It's not like it's
No
gonna be,
basement.
Right, that's,
the foot, the,
No basement.
we aren't gonna have to bore 100 feet.
What's the timing on the grant?
we,
USDA is open anytime.
yeah, USDA gives any time. But you
That's
really need to
November
have,
9th.
It's
But when
just
are they gonna
massive.
end this?
but you really need to have the land in
Right.
place to
Yeah.
begin with.
Without the land, we can't start.
That's been the major hurdle because it is massive and it is very anti-technology in that it has to be mostly written out, so.
Well, the reason why I ask is that if we are concerned about soil, I mean, we can get the land. If the land needs to be cleaned up, that's going to be a conversation we have to have with MPCA, regardless of who's going to own it. And that, we can't break ground on the library until we hear back on the grant application. So I think we will have sufficient time
To test it.
to test and deal with soil sampling if we need
But
to.
does the city get the test done?
Typically, the owner of the property gets the soil pouring test.
Well, as I read section 4.2, if this is signed by Tom and you sign it, it would be, the liability would be the city's.
It would be, yeah.
Yeah, for something like that.
Yeah, not his, it would be yours. This is the last sentence there to clean that.
Yeah.
And then conversely, if anything were to happen up at the
Yeah,
power
I
plant, then
think,
that's on us.
absolutely, you're
Yeah.
right, absolutely. It's neutral.
Well, I certainly advocate for this site because I think it's the best choice we have. And as long as he is willing to put his name on a piece of paper and just have to go forth trusting everybody is going forth with the best intentions.
I mean, this is what we've been hoping for.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a grab.
So is the grant a 100% sure thing?
It's not a grant.
No grants ever are.
Oh, the USDA,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a federal grant.
Right.
No, you gotta fill out the whole thing. What we learned from Howard Lake
Okay, yeah.
and how they did it, it's a Bearcat to do, but the likelihood is pretty good. Because we
Okay.
fit the demographics, the size of the town and all of that stuff similar to what Howard Lake did.
Sure.
It's
Okay.
not a guarantee.
Okay.
If we don't get it, we should go from there.
Yeah.
Do we know how long the engineering study and process will take once formal stuff is submitted?
On the Wednesday stuff you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the drainage study that Tom wants to do, if we know a proposed turnaround. Because the sooner we can close on this, the sooner we can get started on that USDA loan process.
And you actually have to have building plans ready in place for that, so.
Well, yeah, there is no window.
Right.
But was it integrity group? Is that who we were
Yeah,
meeting?
they
Yes.
said they were-
They said as soon as we have a spot, they can pretty much do about the.
Well, here he's got a closing date,
That one?
yeah,
Cool.
so,
Is it on or before?
It is.
On or before what?
So do you think that's enough time for both things to happen? The soil here and the drainage over there?
I mean, I'll speak to our accountant.
Yeah, see what Chuck says. I mean, give them the time because they get
I
moving.
don't think it'll take that long, I just don't have a
No, he just wants to look over the plans.
Do you have anything like we had discussed about breaking ground before a certain date because of the disturbance to the garden?
But he probably wants to open the parking lot before he.
He won't be here.
yeah.
It will be this fall, and that's he'll do it.
Yeah, the one about the grass wall.
Until he gets, he won't do something until he gets title to it after.
Right,
Yeah, I just want to make sure,
Until October 1st.
was his honor before,
Yeah,
but so it could be before.
but.
I just want to make sure that, I know they're about done, I just want to make sure that nobody's gardens are.
Yeah. So unless they try to join.
Yeah.
Yeah, this does require that anything, even if they close beforehand, that they can't disturb the ground until 10/1. That's paragraph 10.
No, thank you.
Sorry, Steve.
So what are next steps here? I mean, he signed it, or the council needs to sign it, we'll assume.
Pass this committee first.
Yeah, so, we called this special meeting not anticipating that we'd get the signed agreement. So I thought we'd have a longer discussion about those two sites over there and if we wanted to rip up downtown. But I guess if this is where we are, I would be happy with a recommendation from the committee that the council can vote on later tonight. And you've got the council here, so if there's any pushback, you'd know about it now.
I so move we recommend this particular agreement and that the council sign it tonight and go forward.
Okay.
Second.
So, just to let the records clear, there was a motion by Pat Hansen to recommend that the city move forward at the Washburn Court site and sign the agreement as presented, seconded by Steve Peterson. So,
I have one more question about the community gardens.
Yeah.
How much of that gets taken away?
So none of it would get taken away. It would be repositioned and relocated. So the same.
Gardens would?
The gardens would, yes.
Okay, so it requires some moving irrigation. Yeah.
Yes.
Is, okay.
But as far as the number of plots and things that are there, they will stay.
And
Do the
I
gardens
think
need
I talked to Ron a little bit, it'd probably be wide, because you can't really go much longer in that parking lot, so
Yeah.
it'd
Yeah.
probably go to the south.
Mary raised a good question. Have we talked to those who rent the plots out there?
No.
For the people that do the work with the irrigation?
Well,
We do have
Vinyl
to-
Christopherson runs, kind of takes care of it, renting it to everybody.
Okay.
It is?
Vinyl
Yeah.
Christopherson.
Yeah.
So he'd be the one to talk to.
And we do have to move the irrigation system.
Yeah.
And do
Yes.
this.
We'll have to do that.
But
Spring
that's
or
at the
fall.
close of the season, so they will still be able to harvest. And
Yep.
it will be a disruption for them, granted, but that happens anytime you're doing anything in the city. There's
Right.
disruptions. That's what progress is.
We just wanted to make sure it didn't happen before the end of this harvest. but I don't think it
Harvest,
should
so
be
they
a
could get their
problem.
stuff out of the gardens.
But Foundation, we gave a grant several years ago to them for help with their irrigation. Verge Fogley was doing that piece. I don't know if he still is.
Birch does a lot up there.
Yeah, they have
between
one of
those
those
two,
spots out there,
Those
yeah.
would be the two.
Yeah. And does the city move the irrigation or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we would take care of moving that.
Okay, great.
Just, I mean, so just, this is Tom's deal, so you would access this from, would this flow both ways? You could come around the building from north to south and from south to north, looks like. Either way, huh? On the east side of their current site.
Right.
And there's a lot of parking spaces. There must be
I think
40 parking spaces.
No, there's over 50, but
50?
with the conversation I had with him, I said, well, if you need more space and, you know, things
For the
get
water.
tight, you might lose a few parking spots. You know, it wasn't particularly, so it doesn't have to be exactly these many, but he understands that you gotta make a plan, and then if something needs tweaking, in all good, you know, respect to each other, you work that out. It's a minor thing.
No, I'm just,
So this is the parking lot that they're
I don't think
proposing.
the north side
And this is the
correct.
building.
Yeah.
They're down.
They have,
Hey, Gene, do they give you bullet points?
Yeah, well,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They do, yeah.
we're a little sidetracked into discussion.
Well, that's all right. That's what it's for.
Should make sure
I
that's
need
a
to
two
take a vote on the motion in second.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
I just recited it because I have the mic in front of me, but Steve, it's your committee.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a typo here.
Is that
2024.
All right, all those in favor, please say yay.
Yay.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, so that carries unanimously. Like I said, I'll just recite it because I've got the mic in front of me and it's further from Steve, so. Yes, the city will move forward on this tonight. I'm anticipating a yay vote. See what happens.
If you wish, Tom will come down at 6 o'clock and meet with you if you feel there's something, a problem. He wanted to give this time anything that needed to be hashed out so that there wasn't any discussion that got heated that wasn't necessary. So, you know.
I don't foresee anything. The only thing is Megan and Jean pointed out a typo in paragraph 10 where it should say 2024 instead of 1024.
The year.
I don't see that as a substantive
That's
thing.
it. I think we can pretty sure that's it. And make him initial that change is all. That's.
I'm not worried about it. It's, no. I think the
Change
rest,
it, make him initial, that's all.
That's all.
I'm not worried about it.
And then someone will talk to Lenny.
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
Yeah, and we'll start working on some sort of an agreement for right of first refusal and however that might look. And I think Lenny would be agreeable to that.
Well, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody for working on this, being patient.
Thank you,
for
Pat.
I was gonna say Pat did all the
Yeah, thanks.
legwork today.
And I spoke very candidly with everybody, and sometimes you just have to be a raving bitch. Pretty much.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. All right, unless you all have more, that's all I have from the city side.
I'm actually just curious as if when the ad hoc board is meeting again then, since we had such a delay. Like, our next, tentatively scheduled one would have been September 12th. but-
well, can we talk about going down on the whole lake? Looking around, or is that necessary, or?
I kind of would, but if we just
You
didn't.
know, to me, the meaningful work is to, one, and if we want to do that, hopefully we get a signed copy from them and in advance of October 1st, since, we don't have to wait for everything to happen in sequence. We could get back together with, what's the name of you just,
Integrity.
yes, integrity. And show them the site and begin to engage on looking for Laura around and do some preliminary work, because we'll need to have
We
that.
need a
to-
wish list. We need a list of what, that's how I started with my house. It's like I made a list, what do I
Oh, I should
absolutely
check my
want?
mail.
Right.
Got plenty of time.
What's some of my
We have an hour.
But let's have them help facilitate, and the thing is, we're not starting from zero here. We've done a lot of preliminary work that we can bring back.
That's what they had said last time, once we have land, they can throw up draft schemes, so at least you guys can start on the USDA grant. and
Right.
we can move from there.
Absolutely, so I think we could meet, sometime in, later September.
If we do take a trip down to Nichols, it's invaluable.
Absolutely, yeah, that would.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
Yep.
Here's a better picture of it.
Yeah,
There's the
I
main
would go
building and
north
there's some
again
home.
and just see what.
And there's all the lots in the back.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot clearer picture.
Yeah.
It's like everything in it.
Do we have
Yeah,
a phone
yeah.
and a door opener for Kateri yet?
Pictures look really cool.
Uh-huh.
So there'd be north and
Ron, there
south.
will ask.
Okay.
Access.
Because Kateri told me she found a folder from like 1993 where
What's
they
your
asked
baby?
the same thing and it never went anywhere.
I do know.
And I think
I'm gonna get you a door opener.
So you come into Main Road, and then you can turn either left or go right into
This is
the
gonna be a lot.
Yes.
main deal, yeah.
Yep, you can either go in this way, this is where the garage entrance is at.
Okay.
There's something with the space on the
Main
back.
entrance is right there. Pleasure to park back here.
There was something with that.
And it looks like they can come in here, can they, from?
Well, that was what, 30
This
years
is
ago
the
in the last quote?
position home employees, and over here more.
There's gotta be a way.
And there's like a sidewalk or something that connects it.
when he's back here,
The
we'll.
question there, this is that
But I
sort
know that
of
the main issue was.
fire truck access, so are employees coming in this direction or only from this way?
I think they're
Oh, are we all adjourned?
gonna be
Can we say
using
adjourn?
Did you set up a date?
part of that. There just has to be
I just didn't know where
fire trucks get easily,
Okay.
Steve, can
because
you
that's where
get
they
a
hook up
date so
their,
she can put it on her calendar?
their equipment to the lanes, right?
She needs a date for a calendar to let Randy know.
Okay, well, let's look at our calendars. So,
We've been sticking with what, Thursdays?
that's kind of what we've, whatever you guys think works for you.
I'm really bad on Thursdays now because I have a college student playing volleyball and I don't want to miss a game.
But is this through the ad hoc or is this through the?
So this is for the, you got ad hoc.
It's going.
Well, the question is, we could almost do the tour at our
It is
meeting,
so-
kind of.
I was hoping you
What
were
is
gonna
it?
be here so I
When
could
the
get
hell?
Maybe it should be
Get
this.
opportunity over it.
I know it's
a good way to.
The weather's perfect, by the way.
Access,
So,
and just do it right there, and see it again. That might be a good
Have a
way to do
community
it.
room.
look how dark it is out there.
I do, yes.
Well, yeah,
I have a meeting room now, so.
Yeah, so do people like that idea?
Yes.
So then we have to.
Well, I need to get
rope
going,
in
get electric
on
on
this,
this.
and figure out availability.
CA's I was hoping before.
So do you want, let's talk to them about the last week in September or the first week of October.
To go visit?
Yes, and then we'll have our ad hoc committee meeting there too around next steps. And integrity? Integrity will probably be there at Howard Lake, and then we can talk about how we want to engage them. I heard them, was I wrong, that they would be willing to at least do the first part of this with no charge?
Sean,
Right.
am I still needed here? Okay, I'll be back. Just in a while.
Yeah, they're a contract management company.
I tried so hard to get here on time, but I woke up and I had like 17 messages. Like, I had 5 people were like, call me today. And I'm like, I closed my eyes for 6 hours. What have you been up to? Chaos.
Can we make it Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah.
I'm so slammed and she's slammed on Thursday.
Yeah, so, let's assume that Tuesday or what, you say Wednesday?
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh.
I'm just, on September, I'm just
Oh,
slammed
God.
on
What
the.
Oh. I didn't know about that.
What now?
I would hope that you knew about that.
So,
I'm like, who's that fry
the
guy?
day that would work best for me would be
You
Wednesday.
didn't ask me for a letter.
October?
Yes.
Shall I?
Doable for me. Doable for me.
Well, I told you
Yeah, I
I'm
have
going
stuff
anywhere.
beyond those other 2 days.
Yeah, I'm just.
So Tara, can we have a very specific date to make it simple with Nick? Would be Wednesday, October 2nd.
That'd be good. I'm curious how.
Yeah, great.
Let's see.
It's the annual meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
What time?
Well, let's think, we should probably do it during the day, a little bit of
What
the
we
afternoon.
probably want to do it before the library's open a little bit so that they have the time to talk about it. I don't know.
Do you know their hours?
I was just looking at
Yeah, on the Great Riverside.
Let's try to get some Friday.